Yeah, we have a different type of an history in terms of family-run businesses, as well as in the industry that I represent, which is the knowledge industry. It has both family-run as well as independent organizations that came about. One differentiating factor in this industry clearly is the ability to learn, the ability to work together in a team and accomplish a common goal. At the end of the day, most of the people in the industry realize that there is no individual hero. Teams accomplish the results. There is a hero, there is a leader who stands up, acknowledges on behalf of the team what has been accomplished by the team, by that individual, as well as the organization that they represent. This is something that is recognized even by family-run companies. No family-run company or the leader at any of those companies would stand up and say, I'm responsible or I was responsible for the strategy of this company. I am, and I alone is responsible for the success of this company. That doesn't happen anymore, at least in this industry. It's all a question of working together.
Your industry is the wrong example to actually talk about over here.
In our industry also, there are examples of cases where the command and control type or style of management has failed in many instances, so people have learned from that.
You have to give us names.
I wouldn't want to go into that, but I'd really like you to look at the leaders.
Okay.
The leaders. There is also a definition of leaders. Leader is not necessarily the best. We talk about let's say for example, the classic example that's given is automobile industry. Who's the leader? Who's the best car? Is Toyota the best car? Is GM the best car? Is Lexus the best car? They're all very good cars, but they're all differentiated. They're all differentiated in a way that the market understands and people make the choice. Clearly, that is true for every industry. If you have to compete in a competitive marketplace, particularly in a marketplace like ours, which is extremely competitive, you have to constantly keep differentiating yourself. And that's a key quality that a leadership brings.
Okay.
And two, just to add one more point, it's not about operational excellence. It's just, execution is important. You can keep constantly improving, get better and better over your competitors, but then you're running the same race. You're trying to run and beat the other person in the same race. The idea is to run a different race. Move away from that, differentiate yourself, set the bar, set a different race so that you can be the leader. So these are aspects.
Okay. Steve, let me put this question to you because all of us have been talking here and all three of the panelists have made a point about how leaders actually inspire their teams, how leaders actually take their teams forward and so on and so forth. One of the issues, and I know that a lot of people here in this room will identify with that challenge because it's one of the most critical challenges that the Indian IT industry is facing, and world over we're seeing that, is attrition. How much of the attrition problem is really on account of a crisis of leadership at this point in time, if indeed leaders are supposed to do all the inspiring and taking the teams along?
Well, I think leaders have to take responsibility for the attrition. I'm a firm believer that people don't leave companies or jobs. People leave bosses. And, at the end of the day, that's the contributor to attrition. And I think leaders have to take responsibility for the way they treat their employees. And to a certain extent, if attrition runs extremely high, there's a lack of leadership in driving that. Now, there's market conditions that drive certain attrition, but at the end of the day, again, I firmly believe that people leave bosses, and to the extent that bosses are good leaders, they have lower attrition.
Okay. Good bosses have lower attrition. I don't know. We'll have to check that out. Lakshmi, would you agree with that? Good bosses have lower attrition?
Yeah, good bosses contribute to that, but I'd like to just add a little bit more to that. It's when people join a company, they think that their aspirations will be fulfilled in that company, and the company represents to them saying, you come and join us, work with us, you can achieve or you can accomplish your aspirations. And when they leave, it's out of their conclusion that, hey, by staying here, I'm not going to fulfill my aspirations.
So it's pretty much like marriage, then the expectations, when they're not met, result in a divorce, is it?
Correct,
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a company that's to be blamed. Maybe the boss takes a great share.
All right.
As far as that's concerned.
Patrick, let me ask you, because we're currently sitting on an economic boom cycle. Every industry is pretty much at their peak. And so in a sense, it probably makes the job easier for a leader to take their team forward and to inspire them into doing good things. But tell me, in a down cycle, when things are not looking particularly good, how hard is the role of a leader, and how does his personality, how does his outlook change during a down cycle?